first of all, the threat of China, I think, is civilizational and categoric. So the changes in China since 2012 were vertiginous and were largely missed in the West. For the previous 30, 40 years, there had been a gradual liberalization there. There were more property rights. There were more elected officials at local level. There was the beginning of a burgeoning blogosphere, independent journalists. Xi Jinping took over and all that ended. The bloggers were all rounded up. One of the most prominent was brought out in a kind of Stalinist, self-recriminating show trial. Then the lawyers who defended the bloggers were all arrested. And then the lawyers who defended the lawyers were all arrested, and then everyone got the message. And then the Supreme Court said, if you share an unhelpful rumor online, and it is viewed more than 500 times, or shared more than 50 times, you get 3 years in a Labour camp. So that was it. The hammer blow fell. I think we were really slow to see the extent to which a panopticon surveillance state was constructed and managed by notionally private companies like Weibo, Tencent, Alibaba, and so on that maintain these spy networks. And why I say it's a civilizational threat, there are plenty of countries out there whose governments have a quarrel with us, right? Syria or somewhere, right? But they are not offering a credible alternative civilizational model. The terrifying thing about this Chinese model is that you can export it. You could say to Maduro in Venezuela, if you don't want to worry about elections, here, we'll sell you this, right? So so I say this just for the avoidance of doubt. I'm much more hawkish about China than most people. I also think that Margaret Thatcher, without question, because she read her Milton Friedman and he was clear about this, Milton Friedman would have taken the view that if the Chinese taxpayer is stupid enough to subsidize the British consumer, thank you very much, we will pocket that gift and keep quiet until they realize how stupid they're being. The fundamental mistake that, I think is intuitive but wrong, it's a classic maladaptation, is people think that the benefit of trade is in exports. And there is some marginal benefit in exports, but it is dwarfed next to the benefit of cheaper imports. What really drives an economy, what really makes us richer, is the price of stuff falling, which means that working the same hours we are better off because stuff is cheaper, which means that we have lots more disposable income that we can then spend on loads of new things, and that's what drives growth. So if, let's take the protectionist argument that, it's unfair to have these Chinese cars and it's damaging some car exporter here. All right, maybe there's a car exporter in Birmingham that would have been marginally benefited. And yeah, there may be some very marginal benefit to the people in this room from those people, having a little bit more money to spend. But it is nothing like the benefit that you would have from a cheaper car and having all that extra money to spend yourself. And this is a point I just think one endlessly has to make it, generation after generation, because it seems to fly in the face of common sense. So let me borrow from Milton Friedman and explain it like this. Where I live on the Hampshire-Berkshire borders, there are a number of pubs that occasionally engage in special offers. Right? I have trade deficits with all of them. Right? I spend way more in the Bell and Dragon, in the White Hart, in the Red Lion in Overton, way more than they buy from me. Right? And sometimes they do what the Chinese do. Sometimes they engage in dumping. They do below cost price offers. We'll give you a free glass of wine with your meal on a Monday. Who gets the better end of that deal? Right? When did cheap become an insult? Why is it a problem for a country to flood us with cheap stuff that they are subsidizing to our benefit? And if the Chinese want to flood us with cheap steel, do you know what? That is a huge benefit to our construction sector, to our car making sector, to our electronic appliances, to our railways. They are all getting a massive productivity boost without having to lift a finger. God bless the Chinese if they're foolish enough to carry on wanting to do that.